Hello and welcome, everyone, to the ISCA Saturday Cup and Super Cup Series as we tackle Homestead and the Hooters 200. Definitely going to be an exciting race here tonight. We saw a just excellent race on Thursday. Went completely green the entire time except for the stages. And I have a feeling we might be able to do the same tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, I don't want to jinx it, but I might have already done that. We'll have to wait and see, though, as qualifying has begun here as we have 134 laps ahead of us here tonight. Taking a look at the race facts here, 134 laps, stages 25 and 50, 4 tire sets, and the fuel window is 49 laps. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and joining me in the booth tonight, Big Al. How you doing this evening, man?
Hey, doing pretty good, Brian.
All righty, glad to hear it. You don't sound like you're doing pretty good. You all right?
Yeah.
All right, well, hopefully the race will liven you up here as of course, we have some hot playoff implications here for this race. A couple guys are actually in must-win situations. Let's take a look at the point. Looks like Chris Severa, of course, out in front points-wise. Kenny Powell in second place. Jose Acosta in third. Ryan Strunk in fourth. That is the top 4 in points right now. Of course, Paul Olson, I do not believe, is playoff eligible, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've been told. Paul Olson... Frank Flores is in 6th place right now. Gary Adamson's in 7th. 8th place, Chris Johnson. So I do believe Chris Johnson in a must-win tonight, Big Al. That's going to be big. Also, Gary Adamson, Frank Flores, Ryan Strunk. They all have to have good finishes here. Also, things could change quickly, especially we're going into Martinsville next week.
Yep.
Qualifying, of course, is happening right now. We're looking at Frank Flores. So far, Chris Johnson has turned the time at 32.993. He is first on the board right now. Let's see what Frank Flores does. Looks like he's qualified right now in 4th place, as we still have a little bit over 2 minutes left in qualifying. Looking at the track facts for this evening, 80-degree air temp. We have 104 on the actual track itself. Wind is coming from going to the east, 7 mile an hour, and rising. It seems like it's fluctuating pretty wildly here, partly cloudy. So kind of a little bit of a hotter track too for this season. So this is going to make it a little bit difficult on these guys. Of course, Homestead is a very, very difficult track. We've heard multiple times this week, from the multiple broadcasts we've done, to where guys were saying, don't really try to drive it very hard. That's the key to this racetrack, it seems like. Wouldn't you say, Big Al?
Yep.
I do believe Jose Acosta now taking that 2nd position. He's going to be making his way down pit road. Joey Preby right now qualified in 3rd. Preby's been showing a lot of pace ever since he came back, so I expect a lot from that camp there. Curious if we'll see Abner Acosta here this evening. I know he's been really lighting up the circuit. Looking at the actual Cup standings for just a moment, as Abner Acosta's at the top of it. I mean, he's got 3 wins. Kendall LeVron's sitting in 2nd place right now after his win last week at Vegas. I don't think Kendall's going to be here this evening, though. Ryan Strunk sitting in 3rd. 4th place, Jose Acosta. 5th place, Don Avery. 6th place, Kenny Powell. 7th, Chris Severa. 8th, Thomas O'Hara. And 9th, Paul Olson. And rounding out the top 10 in points for the Cup standings is Frank Flores. So still, even though, we're reaching the end of the, the Super Cup season, the Cup season is, the Cup Series standings is still ongoing. I mean, that is, something that we are always going to have some racing here in ISCA. That's what I love about this series. Of course, we're going to be going to taking a step away to play our national anthem, and we'll be right back with your grid. Be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We have our grid set for this evening's action at the Hooters 200. I do believe we're going to see Chris Johnson take the pole here tonight. Of course, he is in a must-win situation, so they're definitely going to be loving that, probably clean air. Jose Acosta, of course, going to be starting in second place. Third place is going to be Joey Preby. Fourth place, Frank Flores. Fifth place is going to be Kenny Powell, with sixth place being Steven Piero. Seventh place is going to be Chris Severa. Eighth place is going to be Don Avery. Ninth place, Thomas O'Hara, with 10th place, Ryan Strunk. 11th place, Derek Jacobs. 12th place, Gary Adamson. And rounding out our 13-car field here is Andrew Layton. Definitely going to be an exciting race here. 13 drivers going to be stepping in to this battle here, this epically difficult track. These guys are going to have to really take care of their equipment. I mean, that's what it's all going to be about tonight, taking care of your equipment. But we also saw some wild and crazy racing on Thursday, too. So, guys, you know, when they see the move, the opportunity strikes, they will take it. I think this race will be quite crazy. I mean, we saw even Kenny Powell making some bonsai moves on Thursday. You know, we'll see Chris Severa having to drive through the field. This is going to be one exciting race.
Saying bonsai moves from Kenny Powell on Thursday, that was an understatement. More like kamikaze moves.
Yeah, as the field starts to pull off of pit road here. Going to be going green this time by. Definitely excited to get this action started, Big Al. This is going to be a good one, I think.
Well, I hope so. Hopefully these guys will be able to manage their tires through the stages here, give us some good racing. You know, these tires are going to be right at their limit. So I think the guys will actually be able to drive a lot harder here in the first two stages as they're going to be able to drive in that third stage. So a lot of these guys got their cars set up for the short run, that might favor because first 2 runs are going to be just that, Brian.
Yeah, of course, 25 laps in this first stage and probably around 20 laps in the second stage, just considering how long it takes for the guys to pace around as we enter turn 3 and 4.
And the key, like you said earlier, is just going to be about not going. I mean, when it did not going again, you just gotta conserve.
Yeah, that's definitely the important thing that you have to keep in mind here. I mean, but do you fall victim to that carrot on the stick mentality? It's the green flag. Bat is out in the air for the first time here. Chris Johnson with a good start. He's able to get up there in front of Jose Acosta as they enter turn number 1. Joey Preby under a fire.
The key, like you said, Chris Johnson needs a win here tonight, but he still has to be very smart and structured in what he does. If he gets out there and he runs too hard, too quick, he's not going to be anywhere near where he needs to be towards the end of the stage.
And look at this. Joey Preby fighting back on the inside as Frank Flores runs the top. We know that top is capable of running some good laps, but it only lasts a certain amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frank Flores has definitely been having a banner week here. Oh, looks like the 29 there just got right into the back of Kenny Powell. That was Chris Severa rocking a totally new paint scheme there. Totally did not pick up on it there.
Yeah, I mean, that is a totally different paint scheme. Usually used to seeing him in some green.
Yeah, Kenny Powell getting a great run on the inside as he is pulling up to Frank Flores. But that's what's going to be the key. You'll see a lot of drivers are having different braking points as the 11 of Don Avery is going to get by the number 2 of Steven Piero. Side-by-side racing continues towards the back of the pack where the meaty part's at. Now, these guys are going to have to really start to get in line here in a little bit. Otherwise, I think, we're going to start to see people kind of shuffle back.
Starting to even be verging on 3 wide here as Ryan Strunk makes his way around the 2 machine. That, of course, is the battle for 7th place. We know that Strunk is going to be fast, and he needs a good finish here tonight to make it to Martinsville and be comfortable and safe. So he's going to try to work on Don Avery here. Don Avery moving up the track a little bit here to try to catch up to Chris Severa, look for any room. Oh! Kenny Powell has to avoid getting into Frank Flores.
Well, yeah, they were actually stacking up. They're pretty good going into that turn. So it was just a matter of time before Powell did actually have to step out a little bit and kind of readjust himself. But I think he's going to be just fine. Flores goes down a low this time. Severa comes down on the inside of the 24 of Powell. Look at the run that Powell's getting coming off of turn 2 there.
I mean, he was incredibly fast on Thursday and had, I'd say, a top 3 car. Unfortunately, things just kind of didn't go his way. But look at him now, side by side with the 8, but the 65 of Joey Preby kind of holding him back a little bit here. This is one of the pitfalls of Homestead.
Hard to pass.
Very much so. It looks like Frank Flores is going to fight back, getting some good runs up there, but that just can't be helping his tires. He's definitely getting a good run here. I mean, Kenny's probably wondering, how is this guy fighting back so hard? But Frank has been definitely showing a lot of pace. Oh, Kenny getting really tight in the dirty air there.
It gets really hard, too, when you're racing side by side because you're kind of pinching that guy up top. Because those cars are going to slide up the hill there as Ryan Strunk is now riding on that inside line, trying to take that fastest line, the tire saver, if you will. But Chris Severa hugging that high line, and we saw Clayton Hoffman run that high line on Thursday. For the guys that can make it work, it works pretty good for a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point there, that just for a little bit of time. Like, it's not something you want to do constantly. You do it every now and again to try to get by people, to defend your position. See the 42 under fire. Joey Preby looks like he's going to pass by Jose Acosta. Slides up. Oh, contact. Just a little bit of some bumping out here on this racetrack. This is the kind of racing you expect when you get to the ISCA. 8 laps in. Oh, Jose Acosta getting into the back of the 65 again. This could go badly.
He's just giving him a little push.
Pushing him into the corner a little faster than he wants to go, I do believe.
Well, Jose is off the pace just a little bit. I think he's starting to slow down. As Powell's starting to reel him in, so he'll be trying to get around him. But I do imagine that Jose's going to probably want to hold on to that third place slot as long as he can.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, he's in the playoff battle. Also, you know, trying to make his way to a championship, to the Final Four, to that final race at Phoenix.
Yeah, Chris D. Johnson doing everything that he needs. I mean, he has been leading this thing since inception, so doesn't look like he is slowing down any just yet, but his lap times are about 0.3 of a second slower than they were than his fastest lap. But right now, you know, with 10 laps into this thing, I think this is when we're going to start to see, you know, if the guys have been running hard, it's gonna start to show.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But I think that Chris Johnson knows exactly what he needs to do here. He knows that he can't drive it hard. He has to just barely hold on to this lead. And I think he's doing just that. I feel like, you know, he's got about a half a second lead. He's keeping it around there and not doing more than he has to. That's what he needs to do. As fighting continues, Ryan Strunk, I do believe, trying to catch the aid of Frank Flores as Chris Severa has gotten by him.
Right. So what's happening right now is the 42 of Jose Acosta is kind of holding up traffic, for lack of a better term. Now, these guys are definitely faster than he is right now, and he is sliding back, but he is not yielding that preferred racing line, and that's kind of causing everything behind him to stack up there like the 440 through DC, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't really understand the reference, but you talk 440, that's like a road or something in DC?
Like interstate, but yeah, the 40 don't go through DC, so that don't make no sense. It'd be like 695 through DC. It's traffic, man. He's holding up traffic.
I get traffic. Oh, yeah. Here comes Severa on the inside of Kenny Powell. That's Kenny being held up like crazy by the 42. Powell going to try to run on the top here.
Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky because he's really hard to control. You know, it's hard to keep
contact with a wall.
Yeah, Jose's doing everything he can, but he has got a G&G. Oh, there's that love touch.
Yeah, I mean, and did you see Jose smack the wall there pretty good?
Did you just see Powell?
Oh, I'm sure Powell's not too happy right now with the way Jose's acting as a roadblock. And that's allowing Chris Severa to maybe get around on the bottom.
Yeah, Powell's already gave him a couple. Those were nudges, so I don't know if the third one is going to be as nice as the first two.
And you know that Chris Johnson and Joey Preby have to be loving this, watching this from their rear views. Like, hey, we're just hanging out and pulling away. We're not battling each other hard. You guys can do all the battling.
But, you know, Severa and Jose were hanging out before the race, so I don't know if maybe that's
man. Look at you spreading rumors. And
No, I'm just saying I don't know if that's going to maybe cause Severa to handle him with kid gloves, but that wasn't the case with Powell, though. We definitely saw a difference between that the way those two interacted.
Yeah, I mean, Chris got by him with not too much trouble there.
Like
Still
almost
Powell
like
trying.
No trouble with Powell.
Yeah, Powell definitely got put through the ringer right there. Let's see if Jose puts him through it again here. I mean, Powell's got to be getting really, really frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those tracks where it does bring out the best in you because it's a driver's track, man. You really have to hold your mouth the right way in order to get around some of these parts here.
Wow, look at that. Dives it in. Able to get right around him here. Watching through the cockpit camera here of Kenny Powell.
And like I said, Powell also in one of those precarious situations as he has his playoff hopes on the line still.
Yeah, he's second in the points right now, but still, you know, all it takes is one bad race. And now he is running down Chris Severa. So Severa not out of the woods yet. Severa goes really high. Now, I did talk to Severa a little bit before the race, Big Al, and he said that if he wrecks, blame it on baseball, because I think he's watching the Phillies. Or listening to the Phillies. I would say I can't watch anything while racing.
Jose Acosta slid all the way back now to 5th place. Ryan Strunk's going to be coming up behind him, trying to best him so he can get his name up into the top 5.
Yeah, Strunk's been looking good, too. He's been looking real consistent. Hasn't been doing what we usually see from Strunk. You know, very fast driver on the short run, but kind of always burns his equipment up. This is not the Strunk we're seeing tonight. I don't believe so. So he gets a good run on the exit here. He's going to be catching really close up here to Jose Acosta. The fight's still on, though, for that 3rd place position. That's Chris Severa being pursued by the 24 of Kenny Powell. Of course, going to be next time by, or this time by, actually, going to be 5 laps to go here in the stage. Definitely going to be wanting to get every bit of stage points you can. And what a great performance from Chris Johnson. Sorry, Big Al, go ahead.
Yeah, this first stage has actually kind of flown by. Chris Johnson's been doing everything that he needs to kind of stay out front, but I think Joey Freebie, though, is now going to want to start to get a little bit up close and personal.
Well, the crazy thing is, though, is Chris has kept him at about the same distance. But now here comes, Freebie starting to move a little bit closer here. But then again, I mean, I mentioned that carrot on a stick mentality earlier, meat on a stick, whatever you prefer. You know, Joey's starting to fall victim to that. He's starting to push a little too hard. I mean, even if you did not have to be concerned with the tires, Big Al, you have to be concerned with your exit speed. And if you're driving it in real deep, you're not going to have the same exit speed.
Yeah, that's the big deal. It's about trying to get the drive off out of the turns, and some drivers are trying to set that car earlier than others, and some just kind of roll through, and that is the delta right now.
And we saw that Ryan Strunk was catching Jose Acosta, but it looks like he's kind of stalled a little bit here as we close in on the end of the stage. He still is in 6th place. Of course, I do believe started in 10th, so not a bad day as Frank Flores gets really loose off of turn 2.
Good to see Derek Jacobs back in the field tonight. He actually had been absent for a little bit, but it seems like he is back out there and got that 27 car shined up and running along here tonight.
Yeah, definitely glad to see him. Unfortunately, we saw the 2 who qualified in 6th place, Stephen Piero. He's out of the race car right now, Big Al. I wonder what happened to him.
He probably said something that he didn't like.
I guess so. I must have offended him. As we come to the white flag here for stage number 1. Definitely want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, State Farm, and of course Hooters, who came on board for this race tonight. As Chris Johnson takes the last few corners here. I think he's got it. You never know. He could get loose in one of these corners. I mean, Joey Freebie right there to take advantage of any mistake. Appreciate James HD for following us there on Twitch. As the fight is on for the win of the stage, Joey Freebie put up a decent fight there, Big Al. But Chris Johnson going to be your stage 1 winner. Joey Freebie in 2nd place. Chris Severa in 3rd. Kenny Powell 4th. 5th place, Jose Acosta. Sixth place going to be, I do believe, Ryan Strunk. Seventh place, Frank Flores. Eighth place, Gary Adamson. Ninth place, Don Avery. And 10th place, Thomas O'Hara. Congratulations to Chris Johnson on his stage win. Let's go ahead and take a brief step away. We'll come right back, and we'll talk to your stage 1 winner.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely appreciate everything that iRacing does for us all on the service here. It's the race for off of Pit Road happening right now. Chris Severa putting on a heavy fight. I don't know if he beat Joey Preby off of Pit Road or not. I think he might have. Wow, what a big move for Chris Severa to move up to second place like that. Of course, let's go ahead and bring our Stage 1 winner in here to the booth, Chris Johnson. All righty, we got him up here in the booth. Chris Johnson, Stage 1 winner. You're in a must-win situation right now, and you seem like you're doing everything you need to do. How are you feeling with the race car?
She's a little loose on the long runs, but I think you have to be that way. I'd rather be a little bit loose and pushing tight on the long run, but overall, it feels like a good car.
Now, it seemed like you were keeping Joey Preby at just arm's length there, about a 4/10 gap there for the majority of that run. Now, was that something that was, on purpose there, or because he seemed like he started kind of attacking you towards the end of the stage, but you were holding him to the right length of distance, I'd say.
Yeah, the whole deal with this race car at this racetrack, you don't want to burn your car up. So I rushed out ahead, and just backed it down, and towards the end, I just didn't want to make any mistakes. So.
Well, I think that's exactly what you need to do tonight. You don't need to make any mistakes. That is pretty much your whole main goal. I mean, what are you willing to do tonight to win this race?
I'll do whatever it takes to get in the Final Four. I already let my team know, if they're in front of me, I'll Kevin Harvick it.
Spend it.
Glad you're honest about it, man. Definitely congratulations on your Stage 1 win, though. We'll be rooting for you up here in the booth. Who can we give a shout-out to before we let you get back to it?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, G&G, and y'all up in the booth.
All right, appreciate you, Chris, and good luck to you. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Send it.
That was Chris Johnson, your Stage 1 winner. Let's see what he got for Stage 2. As the pace car lights are out, we're getting ready to get this thing back underway. Of course, you just saw it right before we talked to Chris Johnson. Chris Severa able to take the second place away from Joey Preby on pit road. Yeah. Great moves on pit road for him.
Yeah, and that's going to change everything because now Severa's up front, and yeah, I think he is up front because he knows that this is almost a must-win situation for him as well. With the playoffs on the line, I think these guys are definitely going to roll their sleeves up, and they're going to get ready to get into it here, Brian.
Yeah, they definitely are. Of course, Chris Severa wants to win this race to try to lock out some of the other guys there. Of course, he has not locked himself in just yet. Last week, Kendall Lavron was able to win. Of course, he's not a playoff-eligible driver, and Paul Olson the week before at Talladega. So Chris Severa definitely in that kind of zone to where, hey, I need to win to lock myself in. That way I can go to Martinsville, be a little bit more comfortable, because you don't want to put that much weight on a Martinsville race. I tell you that, because you never know what can happen.
That's not the track to try to make up positions either on the course or in the points.
And here we go. Green flag going to be back out in the air for the second time tonight. Going to have 20 laps until the end of stage number 2. Chris Johnson with a great start. As Chris Severa under fire from Joey Preby here.
Yeah, Severa didn't get the launch that he probably anticipated, nor that he needed. And the one thing he doesn't want to have to do right now is battle with Joey Preby too long, because that's going to do two things. That's going to allow those guys that are behind him to bunch up, and that's going to cause him to wear his tires out. But it looks like Preby is going to get the best of Severa on the inside. Severa now is going to have to get down low, because he's going to want to try to take that faster line right here. And here comes the 77 of Ryan Strunk. He is trying to get early and get up to the front here as well.
Yeah, right now side by side with the 24 of Kenny Powell. He has now moved his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, Powell cannot be appreciating the fact that Strunk is kind of crowding him like that, but that's just what's going to have to happen.
It's a hard track to not, get tight in the corner and, kind of drift up. That's what makes Homestead so difficult. I mean, it's like a mini Michigan in a lot of ways. See Don Avery, though, making his way up into the, top 8 here. He's going to be trying to get by Gary Adamson. Gary Adamson's also a must-win, Big Al.
Yeah, these guys are running out of opportunities to make points, so I think they're going to be a little bit more aggressive here in stage 2 than they were in stage 1, because tick-tock, Brian, we're running out of time.
We definitely are. Chris Johnson has led every lap thus far. Right now has about a half a second lead on Joey Preby.
Not sure what's going on with the 62 of Severa. I figured he would have been a little bit more stable here, but looks like he's kind of falling back to the back, and I'm not sure what's exactly going on with that.
But you got to keep in mind, too, Big Al, we've seen this strategy from other drivers to where they fall back into the pack, and then they start to make that move. It's like flipping a switch. I'm hoping that's what's going on with Severa, as he is backing up a lot of people right now.
I don't think he would have made all of those leaps and bounds on pit road just to give it away.
That's a good point, yeah. Well, the fighting is on right now as we see everybody following each other. Jose Acosta under fire from Don Avery.
I think the last thing anybody wants to say at a track like this is, I think I'm just going to fall on back and run in the middle with these guys. You just don't want that, because it's so hard to pass, especially as those tires start to get worn out. Plus, you kind of get pushed to drive at somebody else's pace, and that's never fun.
Yeah, and also it's probably not the right time for him to be holding back. I mean, just considering, we don't have as long of a stage here. Maybe I would definitely do this strategy in the last stage, because of how long that stage is. As we see Jose Acosta starting to put a little bit of pressure on him. Also, Don Avery, right there, right on the back door there, Jose Acosta. But here comes, Chris Severa still holding pretty good pace. He's right there with Kenny Powell. I'll tell you what, though, who I'm looking at who's probably really hungry, Ryan Strunk. He is all over Joey Preby right now.
Yeah, Strunk definitely has been – he got the wheels on that thing. He got him heated up, and he is ready to go because he has rolled all the way up to P3. So far, he is our biggest movers. He did start back there in 10th place. Now, I just had one of those epiphanies, Brian. It hit me like a ton of bricks.
What's your epiphany, Big Al?
Everybody's getting stage points here at the end of this stage. It's almost like they're on the Oprah Winfrey Show. You get a point. You get a point.
Look under your chair. There's a point.
Yeah.
Kind of checking out the cockpit camera here of Jose Acosta as he tries to catch up there to Chris Severa. He's got a hungry Don Avery right there behind him. But it looks like everybody seems to be content to stay in line right now. Look at the speeds these guys get up to on these straightaways, 180 mile an hour.
Yeah, but you know, it's getting ready to be 10 to go here. The next time at the line will be at 11 because of the +1, but because 10 + 1 is 11. Just wanted to let y'all know that I knew. But that's almost going to be go time here, though, Brian.
Looking at the track facts a little bit, the track has cooled down a little bit. We started out with like a 104-degree track, 5 degrees. It just cooled off. That's probably gripping this track up a little bit more, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that the hot track on a track like this, that's not the recipe for success.
Big battling here is Joey Preby challenging Chris Johnson. And here comes Ryan Strunk trying to take him 3 wide.
And they did make contact, and they are still beating and banging through the turns there. And I don't think Johnson's going to yield. Oh, Kenny Powell getting where he doesn't need to be. He made contact with the outside wall. This pandemonium is definitely starting to unleash itself.
Powell smacks the outside wall again. He's got a broken toe link. He has broken his steering. That is at least an 8-minute required. You know that Kenny has got to be upset right now.
Yes, he is the recipient of that dreaded meatball flag, and he's going to try to limp that thing on around the pit road, and he will sit, sulk, and fume. I guarantee you he will not be happy after that exchange. And that tire, Brian, is definitely pointed the opposite direction. It looks like my cousin's teeth.
Kind of take a look back at it.
Oh, yeah, they were just going 3 wide right there with Strunk and Preby. And that just kind of gave Powell nowhere to go.
You see Chris Johnson was trying to defend his position here. Strunk went 3 wide. Got into the 48 a little bit there. 48 got into the 65, which kind of sent him up the track a little bit as Kenny Powell was getting such a monster run. And boom, right into the wall right there. And yeah, the toe link was already broken here, Big Al.
Yeah.
As soon as he hit that wall, the toe link was broken. And then he hits it again. Luckily, no one else got caught in this. I mean, it could have easily ended Gary Adamson's race.
Yeah, now the 77 and 65 are still banging door to door here, and that has allowed the 48 to pull away. But Strunk and Preby are making contact all the way around this track. They are doing it all can. Looks like Strunk gets a little bit loose there. Severus just elected to kind of step back and not get caught up in the melee.
Unfortunately, Kenny Powell has retired out of the race car.
Yeah,
as Joey Preby gets loose. Definitely been a chaotic stage 2. Unfortunately, so sad that the caution didn't come out for such a significant incident as they go 3 wide again. Here comes Severa.
Severa definitely trying to drag that car around the high side to get that run that he needs. Now Strunk gets a little loose, has to pedal through, and he is going to go ahead and maintain a new position. That's going to put him in P3. Severa now going to be hunting down our leader, Chris Johnson.
Here comes Jose Acosta also into the picture.
Yeah, all of these guys, except with the exception of the 77 and the 65, need to be up front.
Five laps to go here, soon to be 4 to go, as the battle is on.
Yeah, Severa definitely going to be putting the hammer down. He is going to be trying to reel in Chris Johnson, and these two are going to let it hang out here for the stage 2 win.
Wow, look at Severa getting really loose there. Definitely, I talked to Chris Severa a little bit before the race, just like Chris Johnson said, wanted to have a loose car.
Loose is fast.
That's right. Especially at a track like this, you kind of have to have a little bit of a looser car, but you got to be sure that you do not burn that right rear off as the 65 of Joey Prevey still trying to fight with Ryan Strunk here. Oh, almost getting ready to right or left rear him there.
Called out of Bubba Wallace.
Well, no, Bubba did it in the right rear. If he had left reared him, he probably would have went to the grass. That would have been a little bit safer. As they are side by side, Joey Preby's slide job barely clears the 77. So Virgin on 2 laps to go here in the stage.
Yeah, these two guys were racing each other nice and hard.
Yeah, the 42 also right there waiting to pick up the pieces if something goes wrong.
And also missing out on some valuable stage points.
That's right. Unfortunately, Kenny Powell going to be missing out on some valuable stage points. He is just outside of that, 10th, top 10. As here comes Jose trying to get by Strunk here as Preby starts to drive away. Working on the white flag here as we cross the line. Yep, now going to be 1 lap to go as Chris Johnson crosses the start-finish line. He's got Chris Severa only 3/10 behind him.
Be interested to see if Severa will actually have enough to actually be able to get up and contend with the 48. I don't know. I think he might have waited just a little bit too late, but it all seems to be well within his plan as well as his wheelhouse, Brian.
Well, the thing I'm seeing from Severa right now, the closer he gets to Johnson, the less handling he's having in that race car. You see him wiggling around. That's because he's getting closer to Johnson. He's in his wake, and that is exactly what's going to give Johnson stage number 2. Caution should come out here. I do believe we'll have to wait for Derek Jacobs to cross the line. Of course, you see Jose Acosta still trying to fight with Ryan Strunk, not able to do so. Looks like we're going to turn an extra lap. There is the caution.
Chris D. Johnson with the 2-peat. That's going to put Chris Severa in P2 and Joey Preby. Those are your top 3 in stage 2. Ryan Strunk in P4. Jose Acosta in P5. Frank Flores 6. Don Avery in P7. Gary Adamson P8. Thomas O'Hara P9. And Derek Jacobs. Congratulations. Rounds out our top 10 point sprint positions. And with that, let's take a brief step away, get another word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. And Big Al will try to figure out who he's going to talk to.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I do believe Big Al has somebody he wants to talk to.
Hey, Kenny Powell, Big Al in the booth. How you doing tonight, boss?
Oh, not as good as I could be.
Yeah, man. What exactly happened from your perspective down there?
It looked like I had a shot to take the lead or at least get a position closer to it. And I ran that high line, and I knew that we were 3 wide. I think we were 3 wide coming off the corner. If not, I knew Joey was on my inside, and I felt like I had a clear lane above him. But in my estimation, he came up and we touched, and then I hit the wall and busted a toe link. So that's the end of my night, I think.
Yeah, that's just that's very unfortunate, but that means that it's going to make it that much more difficult for you at Martinsville. No, this isn't the way you wanted your race to end, man. But yeah, well, we'll be still waiting and rooting for you. Before we let you go here, man, who you going to be shouting out here tonight?
Oh man, I think we got a rocket ship this week here at the G&G shop. So pulling from my teammate Chris Johnson. I think did he just win that stage? If so, he's got both stages, and hopefully he can get that win and put himself in the championship for as well. And so good luck to him and G&G shop. And I'll talk to you boys later.
All right, boss. Thanks for your time.
All right.
That was Kenny Powell, driver of the 24 machine. As we get ready to cross the line, the pace car lights should be going out any moment now. Definitely gotta say, I liked how he kept his composure there. I expected it to be a lot madder. I'm sure he, definitely professional when it came to holding that back, Big Al. I was a little afraid when you said you wanted to talk to him.
Well, he's had time to settle down. If we would have pulled him up when he was just getting down pit road, I'm sure it would have been a completely different interview. But, man, I agree with him. Shout out to Chris D. Johnson as he is doing what it takes to get it done here tonight, leading pretty much all laps, I think, with the exception of maybe 2, no more than 3. So he is definitely having a pretty good time down there.
Yeah, taking a look at it, actually, I do believe he has led. Yeah, he's only missed 2 laps there that he has not led. So you had it right on the money there, Big Al. Pace car lights are out. We're on the back stretch, getting ready to enter turn 3 and get this party started. This is when the race truly starts, Big Al, isn't it? I mean, this is when all the experimenting and all the practice that you've done. This is where it comes to fruition. This is where you make a championship happen or make a Final Four appearance happen. This stage right here.
I just like the fact that you said that I was right on the money.
Here's some Big Al karaoke once again here. And there goes the pace car down pit road. Here comes Chris Johnson. Good start for him.
Wasting no time getting this party started. Chris Severa once again a little bit asleep there on the restart, but he is going to be able to come down in front of the 65, who is going backwards right now on this restart, Brian. I don't know what happened there with him. Maybe he missed a gear, whatever, but now Severa is definitely going to be able to lock in that P2 position. So 65 still struggling just a little bit to get up to pace.
He definitely is. And look at Frank Flores making a big run up on the top side, challenging for, I do believe, the top 5 here. Here comes, this is going to be a 3-wide moment here. If Jose Acosta doesn't, have a little bit of patience, I do believe he's going to.
Yeah, Jose is definitely trying to get around the 65. He wants to get up there. But I think with this being the longer of the 3 legs, Jose is going to have to just kind of sit back there and maybe let that traffic help him save tires a little bit.
We also see, of course, I do believe Ryan Strunk has made the pass there on Chris Severa, so Chris is going to fall back to 3rd place.
Yep, no harm, no foul there. He's just going to go ahead and soak up his tires. He's not going to get pushed. Severa knows exactly what he needs to do. The key to this stage right here is going to be to try to run that tank of gas out. The fuel window on these cars, I do believe, is somewhere around 47 to 49 laps. So that's what they're going to be looking for. Now, when that happens, if they can make it with tires, because we've seen a lot of guys sometimes, they have to short pit that just because they lose the handling. It goes away real quick. So Severa, I don't think he's going to try to put himself in that position.
No, I think he's going to do exactly what he's been doing all race long. I mean, in the second stage, we saw him kind of just hanging out for a while. Was letting everybody go, fell into the deep of the, back there, kind of the mid pack. And he just got back after it. He flipped that switch, and all of a sudden he was back up there and in contention for the lead. I think that's exactly what he's going to do here. Of course, it's going to be a much longer run, so that's going to help him out even more, doing that. It's going to be the longest run of the night that we've seen from these drivers, as we do see a little bit of a stack up here Here comes Frank Flores, going to be trying to get by Severa. Severa's just going to let him have it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what he's doing. He's going to probably fall back to hang out with the 42.
I don't know if he wants to hang out with the 42 because Joey Preby's right there, also along with the 42.
36 of Gary Adamson now going the way down on the low line. He's going to yield his position to Derek Jacobs. Way to go, Derek Jacobs, finding himself all the way up to 7th place.
Derek looking fast. He's turning some really good laps right now. Here comes Gary Adamson going to try to get that spot back. Also, look at Jose Acosta making the pass on the top, and now he's gonna get a 2-for-1 special right now. In one corner, he was able to pass 2 drivers. Look at that. Jose Acosta taking care of business right now, moving up to that 4th spot.
Would you believe me if I told you that Derek Jacobs has the 2nd fastest lap turned on this track by 100,000ths of a second?
I wouldn't believe you, but now I definitely believe you wouldn't bring it up unless it was true. But, man, he is definitely – he's been one of those guys that we love to watch has, grown. Glad to see him back. I think, whatever time he took away probably was good for him, and he came back with a fresh head. And I think sometimes you have to do that. Clear your mind, you know what I mean?
So listen to this. So Gary Adamson at 33.259 is your fastest. Then you've got Derek Jacobs with a 33.260. And then you got our current 2nd place driver, which is Chris D. Johnson in the pole sitter, at a 33.261.
Also, just to let everybody know, Ryan Strunk actually just took the lead from Chris Johnson. So, Strunk right now your leader, but I don't think he's going to last. I hate to talk about that, but, he's going to start burning that equipment up. I think that's exactly what he's doing right now. We're only 10 laps into this now, 11 laps into this run.
Yeah, that's the reason why the rest of the field is so far back. Now, also interesting to note, we didn't have a time faster than a 33 flat on Thursday night. So those guys are putting down some blistering lap times. No, sorry. Don't worry about me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to sit over here and play with my Legos.
What? Maybe, that could make these guys even more competitive, just considering they haven't been turning as fast laps as Thursday, as we see the 36 and I do believe Derek Jacobs there fighting it out.
Yeah, and Thomas O'Hara right up there coming into the mix also.
Now, I'm surprised we haven't seen Thomas O'Hara, making his his existence known, I should say, because he hasn't really been lighting the world on fire here. Look at Gary Adamson has caught Chris Severa. Severa is definitely playing the cautious game right now.
He's saving.
He is very much saving.
Serving.
Derek Jacobs racing, I think, with everything he's got right now, and it's got to feel good for him to be able to race against a guy like Severa and be like, hey, I might be able to get this spot from him. Big confidence booster, I'd say. Ryan Strunk took the lead, of course, but he is not out of the woods yet. Chris Johnson right there, still right behind him. Big gaps between 2nd and 3rd. Almost 3 seconds right now between 2nd and 3rd. Looks like Chris Severa, though, has turned on the switch here. Now starting to catch up there to the 65 of Joey Preby. Watching Chris Severa through his cockpit camera right now as he chases down that 65. Got to look at see how smooth Severa's being here to probably try to save that equipment to be able to come back through the field. But, of course, he's 5 seconds right now behind the leader. You can tell every move he's making on that wheel is deliberate. Chris Johnson still right there behind the 77 of Ryan Strunt as we reach lap 70. Of course, the fuel window is 49 laps.
And we have 65 to go, so it's going to be at least another 15 laps before these guys actually start to bring these things down pit road.
Looks like Derek Jacobs is falling back to 10th place again. So maybe the car not handling like he wants to on the mid-run here.
Or maybe he just burned up his tires.
Good, yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No reason to be sorry, as no worries at all as the racing still continues. Man, Gary Adamson's, he's been impressing me tonight. I mean, of course, does not have race-winning pace, but he still has some pretty good pace out there. And I guess you don't make it to the, round 8 without having good pace, right, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. Adamson's been pretty quiet most of the season, but he's been consistent. And that has been the thing that has been the key for him in order to be in the position that he is right now. So, you just got to keep making dough, man. That's how you bring home a championship.
That's how you got to keep making dough. That's how you get the biscuits, right?
That's it, bud.
See Jose Acosta starting to catch up here to the aid of Frank Flores. Frank Flores, of course, on the podium right now. Definitely loving that. He's got to be happy with the way that car's handling, but looks like maybe the handling's starting to go away a little bit. Tell you who the handling is going away from, though, probably Ryan Strunt. He is under a lot of fire from Chris Johnson. Last time by, he was a tenth slower.
Yeah, it's definitely going to ebb and flow here with these guys, because they're going to be trying to figure out the best way to get around.
20 laps now into this run.
Hoping that they save enough to get through the end of this cycle.
Yeah, I mean, and you see it at a lot of racetracks where, saving, of course, is the goal. But I don't think that we've seen this before to where you literally can't go in a lot of ways. I mean, you've reiterated that several times, that you just can't go. You gotta kind of chill it out, You
can go. You just ain't going to end up finishing.
We're getting closer and closer to the longest run we've had all night. 22 laps into the run right now. Definitely unfortunate, though, for Kenny Powell being second in the points. I mean, we talked about how things could go wrong so quickly. Even though you're second in the points after this race, he might not be, Big Al.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate set of circumstances for the 24 team.
And imagine how much more of a desperate situation that puts him in if, let's say, Chris Johnson wins this race tonight. That's his own teammate, but that's going to put him down that running order. And if somebody else wins this in the playoffs at Martinsville, that is going to make it even worse. I mean, Kenny is going to be in some bad times if things don't go his way tonight, if the wrong person wins. Just goes to show you, I mean, it's a domino. really. I mean, once that domino starts dropping, you got to do everything to keep that domino from knocking over your chances to get into a championship.
Ryan Strunk still doing what it does to keep Chris Johnson at bay.
Ryan Strunk getting incredibly loose off that last corner. Johnson right there on the back bumper. He's doing everything he can to keep him at bay. That is 100% correct.
But it's going to get, increasingly difficult for him to do that because
it seems like he's burnt the rear tires off that machine, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and he's still got a little ways to go.
Yeah, until the fuel window opens. I mean, still, I do believe these guys are now 27 laps into this run. So we are on the longest run of the night so far. So this is unknown territory for a lot of these drivers, especially the ones that did not compete on Thursday. Of course, Chris Johnson was there on Thursday. I do believe Frank Flores actually just made the pass on Jose Acosta just made the pass on Frank Flores. So Flores outside of the top three now, and now under fire from, I do believe, Joey Preby.
Yeah, this is that bad time in the run here, where you're going to start to see exactly who was able to save and who didn't.
100%. It's Chris Johnson desperate to take this lead back. But Strunk is making that car as wide as he possibly can. And that is what is making it so hard to pass here tonight. I mean, it just seems like if you hold that bottom position, it's so hard to pass. I mean, if Strunk is on the bottom here and he does not give Chris Johnson a lane to the top on these straightaways, like Johnson is forced to lift, Do you lift, bro? Right?
Do you even lift, bro? It's one thing to catch, something totally different to pass.
That's 100% correct here. Is Johnson. He gets that bottom lane. Let's see what he can do with it. He's going to check it up. Good on him. I mean, even though he had to do that way he would not get tight up into that 77. Still side-by-side drag racing on the backstretch. Johnson still dead even with Strunk. Strunk pinching him down.
Apparently Strunk didn't get the memo.
No, I think Strunk is racing for his life right now because if Johnson wins this race, Strunk's outside of the top four. Got to keep that in mind, Big Al. There's a lot on the line right now, but it looks like Johnson is going to clear him. Johnson back up to the lead. Now he just has to make sure he doesn't burn his tires up because I guarantee you there's some other people out there that are going to be hoping he does. Speaking of which, Chris Severa has made his way up into the top five. Now going to be probably working his magic to try to get through this field. Of course, we're 32 laps into this run. You can only make it 49 laps. So green flag pit stops are not that far away.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then you're going to be interested to see who's going to come in early versus who's going to stay out late. A lot of drivers going to be, the guys that are fighting the ill-handling cars, you'll be seeing those guys sooner than later. And then you'll know who's actually just out there having a great time because they're going to stay out a lot longer than the other guys. And I think you're probably going to see Severa in that latter category.
Jose Acosta doing a fantastic job, starting to really run down Joey Preby. Could we be talking to Jose tonight? Still way early to tell. Of course, Jose's brother Abner not here tonight is unfortunate. Definitely, I think he'd be good at this track, but I must have had some previous engagements Of course, in the Cup Series standings, he's at the top of the board, so that's not something I would want to sacrifice. As we see Chris Johnson starting to run down Jose Acosta. So things are going to start to get heated here shortly as Chris Severa, I should say. Did I say Johnson? I think I might have. Chris Severa starting to catch up there to Jose Acosta. Last time by, he was 0.3 faster than him. So Severa has been really saving some tire here. He's actually faster than the leader, Chris Johnson, who hit a 34.7 last time by, while Chris Severa hit a 34.6. So we're at that point where these tires are wearing substantially, Big Al. I mean, 35 laps into the run.
Yeah, and now I also would like to add that should the caution were to come out now, we would be good to go. So green flag pit window is open. Got 47 laps remaining in this thing. Everybody's doing exactly what they need to do. It's been a pretty uneventful race thus far, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe tell that to Kenny Powell. Definitely
Still
unfortunate for him.
No caution.
Yeah, no caution at all for that accident as Chris Severa closing in. I do believe we're going to see a pass in the next couple corners. As you see, Jose trying to break the draft here a little bit. But here comes Severa. Jose is probably going to try to also make that car as wide as he possibly can to try to keep Severa behind him. Make him work those tires up more than he needs to. Here comes Severa on the inside. It looks like he's going to get that pass completed. Big dive into the turn one there. Severa's able to get him cleared. Also, Joey Preby catching up to Ryan Strunk here. Going to be trying to take that second place away. Strunk definitely hurting on his tires, hitting the 35.1 last time by.
Yeah, he is definitely not on the. He's definitely not up there with the guys that have saved tires, though. He is feeling it on the worst end of the stick there tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunate. I mean, but that's just what happens. I mean, you burn the tire up, that's what happens. But even he's still on track to get, I do believe, a nice top five. I think Strunk, hopefully, I mean, considering you said the window's open, whenever it gets to where it's halfway, I think we're getting there right now to where, we're going to see green flag pit stops probably in the next couple laps.
Yeah, probably especially for some of the guys that are further back in the field, like Flores. Also going to be the 36 of Gary Adamson, the 11 of Don Avery, the 117 of Thomas O'Hara, and the 27 of Derek Jacobs.
Yeah, definitely. I think any moment now the floodgates are going to break and everybody's going to be heading down pit road.
Preby did actually get around Ryan Strunk, so that's going to put him up into second position.
Yeah, definitely good on him to be able to take that spot. I mean, he's been running fast all night, and he's been running fast ever since we've seen him come back. I mean, definitely has been very much improved. Of course, unfortunately, he was involved in an accident here tonight. But still, I definitely do not want to say whether it was his fault or not. Not really sure. Definitely going to see everybody review that one, of course. But still, I mean, he's been really fast tonight, and I don't think he's really done anything too bad. I mean, he's been running a good race. I mean, he's been balanced, I'd say. Not really running it too hard, but also saving some tire at the same time.
Green flag pit stops have officially begun. It's 117 of Thomas O'Hara, first taker to come down pit road. Now everybody's going to start to come.
Yeah, I do believe you're correct. I think everybody's going to start to make their way down pit road here any time now, as we're 95 laps into this race. See Ryan Strunk getting really loose off the corner there. Wouldn't be surprised if he comes down very soon. Yep, looks like he's coming down right now. Also, Chris Johnson pitting from the lead here.
Well, you know, you're at that halfway point now, so these guys already, you know, they flipped the coin now, so.
Some guy's going to stay out a little bit longer. You see Joey Preby out there, going to be leading some laps here. Chris Severa staying out. I do believe Jose Acosta also.
You know, the only unfortunate thing is you don't get any points for that here in this league. So here comes the 65. He's going to be coming on down, getting himself some of those Goodyear tires and some Sunoco racing fuel. Chris Severa, I think, is going to be posted as your new leader here in the interim.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I think that the reason they stay out a couple laps later, because, I mean, every lap counts here. I mean, with how much tire wear is involved here, Big Al, I mean, you have to budget it. I mean, just stay out a little bit longer, and then, you definitely are always one that always talks about, that having the new tires later. You know what I mean? That's the goal. Is Chris Severa going to be taking it down pit road?
Yep, that's going to leave 3 drivers out. Jose Acosta, Don Avery, and Derek Jacobs. Well, actually, now we're down to 2. Just Don Avery and Derek Jacobs. And now Don Avery's down on pit road. I'm assuming that Derek Jacobs will be pitting this time by. And that will complete our pit cycle.
Yeah, not sure who's going to have the lead here. I do believe Jose Acosta. No. Say Joey Preby.
Say Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had a little bit of a mix-up there with its telemetry. It was telling me that Joey Preby was in front of Chris Johnson. But no, yeah, you're right.
So now he is going to be, for all intent and purpose, he is definitely going to be trying to pull that hat trick tonight.
And I think it's well within range for him. I mean, he's got it. It's just going to take him being careful and just not letting that get to his head. He's got a golden opportunity right now. He just cannot drive that car too hard. He's got to just hang out. Just don't go fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's so bad to say that, though, that coming to Homesteads like that.
That makes sense. Don't go fast. Roger.
It's just crazy, though. Every other track is like, yeah, go fast. But Homestead's a track that it's like it turned it on its head, wouldn't you say? The whole paradigm.
Yeah, just and like we keep saying, it's a racer's track, man.
I still feel like Chris Severa does have a fighting chance. He's 2.6 seconds back from our leader, Chris Johnson. So it's still up in the air. I mean, I think this is going to be a close race as we now have, I do believe, 34 laps to go.
Well, the key is going to be, how close he keeps that gap and when he decides to close it. If he just lets Chris Johnson continue to run, it's going to be harder to catch him. But I think at some point you're going to have to kind of run with him just to kind of keep it manageable.
And the thing is, too, I mean, does Ryan Strunk cause any problems for Severa on the march up there to try to get to Johnson? We'll have to wait and see. I do believe it looks like Joey Preview maybe had a little bit of some problems on pit road. I see he lost a lot of time on pit road. It just goes to show you have to do well on pit road. I mean, you pit or you race for show, you pit for dough. I mean, you always say it. You can't make any mistakes. Locking the tires up, slowing down a little bit too much, that adds up.
Jose Acosta now catching up to Joey Preby. This battle right here is going to be for 4th place.
Look at Jose go.
Yeah, he's draining the water out of the bathtub.
He definitely is, as he makes his move here. Jose pinching him down a little bit, giving Joey a little bit of a taste of his own medicine a little bit here. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a I misspoke. I think I was thinking of Ryan Strunk, wasn't I? Whenever he was pinching down pretty bad.
Yeah.
But still, Jose able to make quick work of Joey Preby there. Joey Preby, of course, pitted the lap before Jose did, so I'm surprised. I feel like Preby's making a wise call right now. I think that he has 1 lap older tires than Jose, which, of course, is substantial, but is still not a substantial enough to cause him to be slower than Jose right now. I think that he's just like, hey, I'm just going to hang out, save that equipment. It's been working for everybody else.
I mean, you got to. You really don't have a choice here, and you're hoping that the leader and those guys up front are pushing each other a little bit harder than they need to, and that they're going to wear their stuff out. I mean, that's the best strategy that you got, but you got to be, everybody's got to run their own race at this point of the junction.
Yeah. You're right, 100%. I mean, you have to run your own race. You can't let what other people are doing affect how you're driving. Yeah, I mean, just like Chris Johnson, he's being pursued heavily right now from Ryan Strunk. I mean, Strunk is catching him very quickly, but Johnson knows that Strunk is going to burn his tires up,
And we saw that happen in the last cycle.
Definitely did. But I think Chris Severa's kind of burning his stuff up a little bit right now. I mean, he's running faster than Strunk is. And, we saw in the earlier portions of this race, Chris Severa was, kind of taking it a little bit easier, making sure to save that tire. Maybe thinking a different strategy right now. I mean, because he seems like he's running a lot faster than he was, in the early portions of the run.
I think he's taking position, man, where he's at on the racetrack. With his GMG teammate Kenny Powell out of the hunt, all he has to do is just keep it where it's at, man, and that puts him in a solid second if you think about it.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to do a solid favor for Chris Johnson, I don't think so, though, because, I mean, Severa definitely always racing for the win, even though, we did see him kind of lift for Paul Olsen, but still.
He's going to catch up to the 77, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, he definitely is going to do that. That's the 77. Ryan Strunk, 33.7 last time by versus Chris Johnson's 33.8. So Strunk is coming. He's wanting to lead some more laps. And the thing about it is, I mean, even though Strunk might not win this race, he's going to get some laps led, which, do give him some points.
Hey, look who just stepped up into the booth. We got Al Koslowski going to be joining us up here for a little bit.
Glad to have you there, Al. How you doing tonight? I mean, been enjoying the festivities of the race?
Yeah, just come in here, guys. How we doing tonight? I just wanted to watch this Saturday event. I don't run it anymore, and it looks like this is the Johnson show. It looks like Chris is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's keeping Strunk within reaching distance, and Strunk is going to eat his stuff up, and this is by design. So let's see what happens with this. Yeah, Strunk is usually about 22 laps into his tires. depends on if he learned from his first 2 stints here. He eats his tires up completely, and you'll start seeing him getting a little squirrely on the back end. And he already sees on his relative that Severa is catching him, so he may step it up a little bit here.
Yeah, and that's the one thing he doesn't need to do. He just needs to maintain a consistent pace, not trying to overdrive the car. If it's meant for him to catch the 48, he will catch the 48. But the more he pushes the issue, I'm afraid he is going to allow the 42 to catch him.
Yeah, I can speak from experience here. You don't really want to get out there and give it all you got. You'll eat them tires up. So I think he's got his head on his shoulders, and he's preserving his tires pretty good and just doing what needs to happen to keep Strunk behind him. I wish I'd have learned that technique on Thursday.
Well, I mean, don't sell yourself too short, Al. You were showing a lot of pace on Thursday, and you still, weren't burning them up too bad. Still a respectable finish, I do believe, from you.
Yeah, I didn't do too bad. I mean, I moved myself up, and I was always in 5th for the championship here. Now I'm just 1 point outside of the round of 4. So hopefully I have a good week in Martinsville, and I make it into the round of 4, and we can make this thing exciting at the last event. But, I didn't learn quick enough on Thursday that, the lead is where you want to be, but you got to preserve it in order to stay there. And I didn't do it. I mean, I got out there 2.5 seconds in front of second place and got cocky and ate up my tires. Severa is getting a little squirrely in the back end, so I don't know if he's pushing it to try to get second place, and it was a little too late.
Yeah, I think he's fallen victim to that maybe carrot on a stick mentality a little bit here. I mean, he sees that, he's still 2.6 seconds back from the leader, Chris Johnson, and he sees Ryan Strunk. He knows that's in his grasp, but I think you're right. I think he's maybe burning it up a little bit here. What do you think?
I definitely do. I mean, I think Big Al's thinking the same thing. I think his times are falling. He may have waited too long. I just don't see it happening now. Chris Severa is a wheel man. I mean, he's done some miracles before. So, and he is catching Strunk, but maybe Strunk is kind of drifting a little bit and lifting a little bit here to preserve some for the long run here. We'll see what the last 10 laps gives us, I think. The last 10 laps, I think Strunk is going to, throw caution to the wind and hope it sticks like I did on Thursday. And I wish him the best, but I don't think it's going to work for him.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. But, I mean, Strunk, I feel like maybe has learned a little something, considering, in the first couple stages and then even in that first run of this stage before the green flag pit stops. I mean, Strunk was struggling bad on the long run, and maybe, that kind of got into his head that, hey, I need to take it a little bit easier here. And it seems like he might be making an effort to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Just so
this is
hard.
the problem. You got to guess what the driver in front of you or behind you is thinking. So Strunk may be thinking, if I back it down a little bit, Johnson may back it down and get comfortable, and then I could step it up and gain some ground on him. Johnson's probably thinking, he's losing his grip. I'm just going to keep my pace. And I'm thinking, I really haven't seen Johnson change his mode of thinking here. I mean, he hasn't kind of checked up anything. I have seen Severa's, which he's gaining quite a bit on Strunk here, but I do not think there's enough time for anybody to get up to Johnson. Johnson's going to have to make a mistake in order to lose this. This is his race to lose.
It really is, and there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders though right now though. And you've been in that situation I'm sure before to where you could win a race. You have every opportunity to win a race. You make a mistake, but because that pressure's on, that's why you make that mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have definitely done it. And I've, like I've said many times, I've been trying to be a little bit more patient behind the wheel and let nature take its course instead of just pushing the envelope here. Look, Severa, you see that Strunk is getting loose here. Severa has caught him. I just don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's enough time and enough tire underneath Severa to get up to Johnson.
Well, Severa's he has been conservative. That has been his key, and we've been watching him the whole thing. And I did call it. I said that he was going to slip right into second place. Now, The hard part about this track is there's no go time. Usually when we're on a mile and a half, we'll say, okay, it's go time, put the hammer down. Well, Severa has to figure out how to go without going.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
He's got stuff underneath him that's going to keep him going, Hey, that's a big feat. 2 seconds is a heck of a feat to accomplish when you've got, 14 laps left? I mean, on an average, you've got to cut 2/10, 3/10 out of every lap here. I don't know if he's got it in him. Let's just watch the clock and see what we got here.
But he is definitely putting down the fastest lap times on the track right now at a 34.302. Now, that's faster than Chris Johnson's 34.411. So he's definitely got it aiming in the right way, and he is still consistent. So if my North Carolina map serves me correctly, I think he will have enough to at least get down within 0.2 of a second, but I don't know if he's going to have enough to pass him.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about it. I mean, I've talked about it kind of all race long. When you get up to that bubble, that 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 bubble, that's when it gets hard to pass. That's when it gets hard to drive the race car because you don't have that downforce, and you need that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've watched Severa, if anybody is, and he fits in every facet of what Keselowski was saying, if he's definitely thrown away a number of races, but he has also been that miser who can actually save in ways that you just didn't expect to see it and then, pull off an upset. So I don't know. I think
Hate to interrupt you there, Big Al. Big racing here, the 65 and the 42, battling it out for the top 5. 4th place on the line right now. I believe Joey Preby actually just took 4th place away from Jose Acosta.
Yeah, they've been battling here for just a little bit. I think Jose is trying to get around Preby, but he just hadn't been able to pull it together yet.
I think I think Preby's got some speed to him to catch 6 seconds back behind Strunk. I think that's a small feat that's too big of a birthday cake to eat at one bite. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see Johnson, Severa, Strunk, maybe not in that order. I mean, we may see Severa get up there and pull a rabbit out of his hat. He is closing. I mean, he's down to a 1.5 seconds, and we've got 10 laps, 11 laps left in this thing. And now that's a manageable feat for Severa to accomplish here. So what's going to be the biggest question is when Severa gets to him, Severa is securely in the championship for the Final Four. I mean, does he really need to win this race? Johnson
is
a teammate. I mean, would he want to try to make sure he's going to have teammates in the Final Four with him?
No, there's no teammates in the Final Four, man. You got to go into this thing looking like, hey, either if I don't take this guy out today, he's going to take me out next week. I mean, that's the only way you can look at it.
Yeah, I'm thinking you may be right because he is closing in. He's gonna this next lap he'll be a second behind Johnson, and that's an easy. He's got 8 laps left. You can easily get a second close gap here. So I watch this clicker here right now. He's 1.295 when he comes across the start-finish line. He's probably going to be right about a second behind him. Yeah, he's 1.1. So that's an easy feat to overcome right there. So I think he's going to close this up, and we're going to see a pretty interesting ending.
But I definitely think Severa, I think he has to risk it. If you do, there's only 3 other slots, man, and I don't think you want close racing there like that. I think you want to be able to kind of just get in there and just knock a home run and have a walk off instead of having to fight every lap of the last 2 races.
Yeah, but I know Severa, and I watched him at Martinsville, and that's going to be the Severa show. I'm pretty certain of that. So this is the race that Johnson has to win in order. I mean, he's in a win. He has to win. Those 2 stages that he won, they're not going to get him into the Final Four.
Yeah, it's still not enough. It's not enough. I mean, he has to win right now. And like you said, you don't want to put all of those cards or all those chips on Martinsville. There's no way that you can be certain that you can win Martinsville. And right now, Chris Johnson's in the perfect position right now. I mean, he's maintaining the gap. I don't know, though. Here comes Chris. Yeah. Severa's starting to catch him again.
Knocked out of him. Yeah. And then what this is going to do, again, when I go back to the what's the driver thinking situation, is Johnson thinking to himself, oh, hell, here comes Severa. He's going to pass me. I better get my feet on it. And is that going to make his traction and his driving, his focus out of whack here? We're going to see here.
Because absolutely. He is now starting to have to pay attention to the clock as well as the rearview mirror. He has not had Chris Severa in his rearview mirror tonight, but he does understand how much of a competitor Severa is. So that little bit of pressure back there, yeah, you bet it's going to be affecting the way his car is handling and the way he is driving.
Yeah, looking at lap times right now, Severa, I do believe almost 3/10. I do believe actually 2/10 faster than Chris Johnson last time by. But like I mentioned, guys, you got to keep in mind, I talked about it. When Chris starts to get into that wake that Chris Johnson's making right now, he's going to start to struggle. We've seen it from Chris Severa already tonight.
Yeah, and one thing, too, that's going to definitely play out in both of their favor, at 5 to go, they don't have E&E lap traffic that they're going to have to contend with. So it's going to be mano y mano, the battle between the Severa and the Johnson, the battle of the Chris's. That's what we're going to be looking at here tonight as we get ready to get this thing in the books, hoping that we can keep it clean and green for the last 5.
Well, how about that, guys? That's a fact that we haven't even discussed tonight. Thursday went 100% green. This race looks like it's got all the chances of going 100% green. As Chris Severa up to the top of the racetrack.
He's got to do it. His tires are getting wore out. See, every time he comes off these corners, I was going to point that out to you guys. He is getting extremely loose. Watch when he exits turn 4 here. Watch his rear end.
Yeah, I think he might have just put a little bit too much heat in his tires. His lap times will definitely start to fall off now. So I don't know. I think Johnson might have had just enough left in his tank to walk away with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, you got to keep in mind there's that.
Oh,
no, he's doing this on purpose. It's a Clayton Hoffman deal here. He's got to run that high side to try to get those tires back sticky again here,
and also to try to get clean air.
Yeah, and that is definitely the fastest line around the track. You just can't do it for an extended period of time.
Could he run out of gas, or not really gas, but run out of tire before they get there? 2 to go as we cross the start-finish line.
And that gap is closer than it's been. I called it at 0.2 of a second.
Severa's going to stay on the high side, and you're going to ride him on the high side. Severa can stick it. He can stick it.
Johnson has to push.
Yeah, but he's going to do that crossover here.
Loose condition.
Yeah.
Johnson trying to hold him off.
Yeah, and Severa getting very, very loose.
Severa's getting impatient there, isn't he? No.
Yeah.
He's got to stick it. He's got to stick it.
And it'll be one to go.
This is going to be the best lap right here, boys. Watch this lap. This is going to be battling.
Johnson in a must-win. Johnson is in a must-win situation. What is he willing to do?
And Severa has just really run
a
half a lap of tires short.
And here we go. Last couple corners. Can Johnson hold on? Johnson exiting turn 4.
He's getting
Severa getting loose. And Johnson will win the Hooters 200.
Yeah, Severa gave it everything that he had there at the end. I think he just burned those tires completely down there trying to make that pass stick and move, but it just wasn't meant to be. Joey Prebia is going to come in third with Ryan Strunk in fourth. Jose Acosta crossing the line in fifth. Frank Flores in sixth. Don Avery crossing in seventh. Gary Adamson eighth. Thomas O'Hara ninth. Derek Jacobs in 10th. Kenny Powell down behind the wall in 11th, and Andrew and Stephen Piero rounds out this 12-car field here, guys. Well, with that and the celebrations in progress, we're going to take a quick step away, real quick way. We'll be back, and we'll be with our post-race show.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door. then get on down to Hooters.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a fantastic showing. Really a race that came down to just the end of it. I mean, had no clue who was going to win it. Chris Severa was trying to get around Chris Johnson, not able to do so. Johnson able to bring home the win. But now we get the chance to talk to our third place finisher, Joey Preby. Man, what a great race for you. You were able to walk that knife's edge of not burning your tires up and grab the podium. How you feeling about that, Joey?
Pretty good that, I got a third place finish out of this race. Felt pretty good.
Yeah, definitely should have felt pretty good. I mean, what were some of the challenges of the racetrack tonight?
I was pushing my tires in the stages, and towards the end of the run, getting very loose off exit, and felt like I was wrecking loose sometimes, but kept saving tires and seemed to, keep the tires under the car and not have too many problems with it.
Yeah, definitely seemed like it. Definitely a great job to you to be able to maintain that third place position. And you did see a little bit of trouble earlier. I know you had some contact with Kenny Powell. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, it's I just pushing on that one, got my car, a little loose and going 3 wide. Thought I was gonna go down and hit the other guy, and um, try to save it, and it just slid up a little bit and ended up pinching him. I'm sorry I ended up pinching and ending his race, and I mean I'll I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's understandable, man. It's some hard racing out there, but you still managed to bring it home in third place. Definitely. And I know we hadn't seen you in a while, of course. Of course, you started back racing just a couple weeks ago, and you've been having some really good finishes. I mean, how does that feel? To give you more confidence to go out here and run, up in front like you did tonight.
Yeah, it gives me confidence. I feel like it's I started with switching from do different setups, and felt setups that were a little looser and lasted longer in the race. And if you saved, you felt the reward farther. And I feel like working on my driving as well has paid to have better finishes.
Yeah, definitely has been very evident that that's been the case for sure. You've been looking really good. I mean, you could tell that you've definitely switched something up and it's working for you. That's for sure. I mean, getting your podium, and I don't think we've hardly ever had the pleasure to talk to you up here in the booth. Is that correct?
I think only at World America was my only other podium.
So that's got to be doing a lot for your confidence there to be able to grab another podium and be able to talk to us again, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, man. Well, we're going to Martinsville next week. How do you feel about that racetrack?
I feel short tracks. Gotta work on some stuff on those kind of races, but I'll hopefully do good.
Well, we definitely wish you all the best. Who can we give a shout out tonight for that 65 after grabbing a third place finish?
So, I used Lyco motorsports setup, and I worked with Vicente Salas on the driving. So thank you to him, and thank you to Lyco setups.
All right, Joey. Well, glad to have you up here. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to you many more times. Congratulations on your third place finish, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya. Thank you.
That was Joey Preview, our third place finisher. Next up, Big Al's got Chris Severa.
Wow, I got Chris Severa. Chris Severa, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Man, I don't usually get to talk to you. You're usually in the winner's circle, but tonight looks like you came up about a half a lap short and just maybe, two ticks on the temperature, too hot on the tires. Were you actually trying to walk Chris down, or do you think you waited too late? What was going on there towards the end?
I think it ultimately comes down to the pace that I started out with in third stage. I think I probably oversaved a little bit. And everybody was just starting to come back to us right as everyone started to go in for green flag stops there. So I think I probably could have gotten away with one more lap out there on the tires, but I just didn't want to. I just knew how much those guys, how much more pace those guys had on the shorter run compared to me. So I didn't really want to spot them that extra gap. But no, we did everything we could do there towards the end. I was trying to save tires the whole way up there. I didn't really think I was going to have a shot at Chris until we were inside 10 laps to go. And, as we were still closing the gap, I figured I still run the bottom side. But as we got to him, we made a couple runs on the high line and, just hung the car out a little bit too much. A little throttle happy, and I think that ended up costing us. But at the end of the day, Chris did what he did to be out there. It was a hell of a drive. It was an amazing track to drive with all the different grooves and different passing options. You don't get that a lot on iRacing, so when we get it, it was a blast.
So you said a lot of different grooves, a lot of different passing options. So you did find that you were actually able to navigate around the racetrack whether you were high or low?
Yeah, definitely. If you save the tires for first 15, 20 laps, you'll have the options to go wherever you want. You can run the high lane, but it'll eat up your tires more. So if you save a little bit more tire than everyone else, if you can get back to them, if they leave that high lane open, especially in 1 and 2, it's definitely not as good in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, you can pick up an extra 0.2 just by staying up on the high side there.
0.2. Hey, so there's a lot of speculation that next week at Martinsville, you are going to be the guy to beat. Now, how do you feel going into this stage of the championship, kind of putting all of your eggs in that one proverbial basket? Is this something that you kind of planned on, or is this just an unintended consequence?
No, I think, ultimately, I think I threw today by oversaving in the first stage, in stage 3. But, that's in the past now. Can't really think about it on to Martinsville. I know Kenny's very good there. Just going to have to, hopefully, the tires wear decently there, and it does come down to a little bit of throttle control. That would be great, because if it's anything like tonight, I think we'll be up there beating for it.
So I can definitely go ahead and get a prediction from you that you're going to be on the podium at least, right?
Here we go.
Never know, but with the competition that have been coming out in the last couple of weeks, I've definitely have to step up the game a little bit. I've definitely been lacking. Not to take anything away from anyone else who's been showing up. There's been a lot quicker guys. I'm not the fastest guy out there by any means. There's a lot of fast guys, even, in this league now. Everyone's got their tracks. Everyone's, has their hits, has their misses. But I'm just happy to come out with a bunch of guys that all were able to at least decently control their cars. It's nice to get away from the A Opens where, people don't really care as much, I would say. So, you know, I don't think we had a single caution besides the stages. So running from flag to flag, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah, and one thing, this is a repeat. We've already been to Martinsville one time already with this car, not necessarily this setup. So, is there anything that you think you're going to be able to take from the first visit there to this visit? You know, it's not like you're having to go into this track sight unseen. So, are you going to have anything that you can use to an advantage, maybe to get yourself up to the top?
I'm not sure how much the tire has changed since we've been there last. I'm sure there has been some significant changes, and you never know. It seems like at road courses, we get a much harder compound tire where the lap times don't fall off. Here in Las Vegas last week, we had a much softer tire, and lap times definitely fell off. So I guess we'll have to wait until Monday to see what iRacing gives us, and then we'll have to go from there.
Well, congratulations to you, sir, for bringing it home in P2 tonight. Know you're going to have to definitely roll your sleeves up and get at it next week if you want to solidify your spot in the championship. Always a pleasure to watch you. Don't usually get to talk to you because you're in the winner circle, but nonetheless, who we shouting out tonight for this second place finish?
Yeah, shout out to you guys as always for doing the fantastic broadcast that you guys do. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have anywhere to really air any of this. So appreciate that first off. All the guys in G&G. I was not able to race a lot this week, so there was a lot of information passed down on how to run, how the track was behaving. That if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have finished anywhere near where I did. So yeah, all those guys, appreciate it.
Hey, but there's one more thing though. Brian was saying that there's some rumblings about you maybe crossing over to the Pedretta racing team. Is that
Oh
just
my word! I'd never said that. Yeah, it was you. Oh
Hey,
Lord!
thanks again for your time, Chris. It's always a pleasure to watch you, bud. Enjoy your evening.
Thanks, guys. You too.
That is Chris Severa, our second place finisher. Next up, Al Kozlowski, going to be interviewing Chris Johnson. How about that?
Chris Johnson, Al Kozlowski, driver of the 88 Speedway Angel Silver Bullet. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Chris walked it home. That's a hat trick, baby. First stage, second stage, and the win. Walk us through the last 10 laps of that race there. It looked like I was slowly watching the ticker here and seeing Severa catching up to you. And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of worried for you, man. Did you have any worries, or were you just saving pace and playing with him?
Oh, big times I was worried. I know Chris was on what two lap fresher tires. Did it make a big difference? I don't know. But towards the end, when he got to about 1.5 to me, I started getting into it a little bit. I shouldn't have burnt the car up a little bit too much. That's the reason why I kind of started throwing my car around on the track because I had nothing else. So yeah, good run for Chris. I was real worried there coming to the closing laps.
We watched a lot of drivers. I think 77 machine there, Mr. Ryan Strunk. He was really competitive for about 18 laps. Was that something you gave math to and thought about letting these guys get back there and eat their stuff up?
Oh, Joey and Ryan. I mean, they were quick. So thanks to you for you came in and spotted for me for a little bit before going up into the booth. You kind of calmed me down and told me to be patient. But yeah, Joey and Ryan were blazing fast. I had to back it down, and good racing on their part.
Yeah, I've learned from that mistake on Thursday. I wish I can go back and redo that because I know being fast is not always longevity for this thing here. So, but you pulled it off. It was a great job and a domination on your part and good car control. What about Martinsville? What are we going to do with Martinsville? Well, you really don't have to worry about it because I mean, you basically can go to Burger King and watch a race from there if you wanted to.
Yeah, I am going to sit back and watch. I don't know. I think it's between Kenny, Chris, and Jose. I do believe one of them. But hey, Martinsville is going to be hectic.
Well, for those watching and don't understand why I said that, it's because Chris Johnson winning this race, it puts him in the final four. So he's able to run Phoenix for the championship. So there's 4 drivers at Phoenix that are going to be racing for a championship, and whoever finishes ahead of the other ones, the furthest ahead of the other 3, that's going to be your champion for the season here. And I can't wait for that race, and I definitely will be watching it myself and hoping I'm in Thursday's top 4 myself. But Mr. Johnson, it was a hell of a show tonight, and I'm glad I was there to help you for a little of it, and I'm glad I did some help. I learned a lot of mistakes that I made on Thursday. I'm glad you didn't make the same mistakes. How about some shout outs? What we got to thank for this race?
Of course, you, Al Kalowski, for helping me at the beginning. Kenny, shame that he was taken out so early on, but thanks to him for helping me out for the last part. And, of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, G&G, ISCA, all y'all up in the booth. And I want to do a special shout out. Brian Johnson has family obligations today, and all day today, he was texting me pointers about the setup, what I could do. Even though he wasn't here personally, he was giving me pointers off the track which really did help me today.
I definitely think I'd listen to him. I think if I recall correctly, on Thursday's race, he stayed out the longest and came up and finished 3rd. I mean, he was blazing fast. So definitely his input was something you needed.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have won it today without his advice and inputs.
Well, he's so much older and wiser. So, I mean, you got to listen to him.
Yeah, I appreciate my big brother.
All right, good job, guys. I appreciate you guys letting me up here with you tonight, and it was a great show. All the drivers, once again, green all the way through. It's always good to see that. So good driving.
Yeah, definitely repeating that thing that we did on Thursday, green from flag to flag, of course, with the exceptions of the stages. But, what a record ISCA is holding right now, the momentum. I think we're going to pay all those cautions back, though, at Martinsville, just considering the nature of that track. That is the short track of short tracks. Definitely can't wait to see that for sure. This is a great race here tonight. We had a very close finish between Chris Johnson and Chris Severa. Of course, Chris Johnson now locking himself into that final race at Phoenix. Big Al, what's your take on tonight's race?
I probably want to say that I think I'm glad to get out of Miami. Great race, though. Great production. Just not my racetrack, man. I'm ready to get back down to the small track there, get some beating and banging going on next Saturday night. And I think that's going to be the best show that we're going to put on. Playoff implications all around. A lot of guys in the must-win category. So if you want to see a spectacular event, next Saturday night's going to be the one to watch.
100%. Definitely don't want to discount Thursday night. Make sure you tune in around 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we will be going live. And, of course, the race will actually start around a little bit after 9:30. But make sure you tune in for that race also. We got Clayton Hoffman, I do believe, locked in, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll have some other guys trying to lock themselves in there at Martinsville. But like Big Al said, same time, tune in on Saturday. We'll see you there, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and that's it for the ISCA. We'll be back on Thursday.